Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is JGOD. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to play Hardpoint in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. I always think it's helpful to make a video like this because there's so many people that have no clue on how to actually play objective game modes. And sadly, most players actually think the player with the most kill time and the most objective captures is the only one playing the objective. So while playing Hardpoint, there's going to be individual and specific roles. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the three of those. And what you're going to see in the background gameplay is a 500-0 Hardpoint win that are going to go ahead and demonstrate some of these roles on how to play Hardpoint in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. So the three different roles we're going to go ahead and talk about in today's video are the Anchor, the Objective Player, and the Slayer. And keep in mind that these positions are very fluid. So 1 minute I might be the Anchor, 1 minute I might be the Objective Player, and the next minute I might be the Slayer. It really comes down to fulfilling whatever role the team needs at that moment. So the first Hardpoint role we'll go ahead and talk about is the Anchor. And this is probably one of the most important positions in this particular mode. And this is because you determine the spawns, the hill rotations, and you make everything flow smoothly, so you're not really fighting for the objective. You're just controlling the map and controlling the objective. So an example of what the Anchor is going to do in this particular scenario is right here we have about 30 seconds left on the Hardpoint. And right around that 15 to 20 second mark, we're going to really start focusing on where the spawns are. So once we die, we're going to acknowledge where the specific spawn location spawned us in at. We're going to acknowledge whether or not that's the spawn we want to have. If they're not the spawns that we want, then we got to reposition and then go ahead and take over a different set of spawns that are more ideal for the next rotation. So once I spawn in, I can acknowledge that this is a good spawn. I'm able to jump up here, oversee the rotation from the first hardpoint to the next hardpoint. So what we're going to talk about a little bit is knowing where the specific hardpoints are and how to position yourself based off of that. So when we go ahead and take a look at that hardpoint rotation map, you can see where the actual locations go. It goes from that middle area on the bridge, then it comes up to the location we're at right now near the village. Then it goes back up to the side area up top by the bridge again. Then it goes in that back corner where that main spawn is. So ideally for a map like this, you're going to want the top spawns of this map nearly every single hill. So although typically one person is going to anchor, the information still needs to be spread throughout the team. So you're going to go ahead and tell your teammates, hey, I just spawned out. I just spawned in the bottom spawn. And then everyone's going to go, okay, we don't want those spawns. Then somebody who has Seraph can maybe put that spawn beacon on the top side of the map so they can make sure that you get those spawns on a continual basis. Keep in mind that if you're going to play Hardpoint solo, you're probably going to have to turn on your mic so you can communicate with people and hopefully they listen. But at the end of the day, the best route you could probably go is to use Seraph, rotate early, and make sure you're that anchor for the team. Because odds are if they just spawn in near the hardpoint, it's going to be a lot easier for you to control the actual objective. So you can see right now I spawned out towards the bottom of the map. I'm rotating really quickly, making sure we can get to that next hill, which is the third one. So the next role we'll go ahead and talk about is the Objective Player role. And a lot of times people get this one mixed up because they think everyone has to be an Objective Player. And at the end of the day, pretty much you're going to have one or two Objective Players that are designated to be on the hill at one time. Like I mentioned with the Anchors, these are fluid positions as well. You're going to probably have 1 to 2 people right on the objective, and then pretty much the rest of the team is going to be kind of scattered just on the outskirts of the objective to slow people down. So you can see right here, I'm not literally on the objective, but what I am doing is kind of pushing out, slowing people down, and can give that communication. As soon as I give that command saying, hey, somebody's coming around that right side, all the team snaps on them, completely destroys them coming around that angle. So you can see right here, we're almost already starting the next rotation. There's only 5 seconds left on that hill. And what will end up happening is you can see where we're positioned already on the next hill. So typically out of the objective players, one's going to be responsible for hanging back while the rest of the team moves and rotates to the next location. More often than not, if the match isn't incredibly close, those last 10 seconds on the hardpoint rotation are not heavily contested. Most of the enemy team and your team are going to be heading towards the next hardpoint, kind of fighting over that. So whoever's left behind might only have to fight 1, maybe 2 people. Just hold down that hill and get that scrap time, whatever is left. So if that's 10 seconds, 12 seconds, whatever it is, they're just going to lock down that specific area and then make sure that they get the scrap time while the remaining 4 or 5 players, depending on how the mode lays out, because it is significantly easier to control and defend a hard point than it is to break a hard point. So it's often more important to reposition and get that next hard point location at all costs, because when you're in a defensive position, you're going to be sitting on the head glitches, harder to kill, you're going to be more likely to streak up, and all these different variables are playing in your specific favor. But at the end of the day, that's what you want to do. If you're losing so hard on one particular hard point, it's just smart just to go ahead and rotate to the next one, get in good position, hopefully enough teammates rotate with you so you guys can lock down that specific area. So now let's go ahead and talk about the most controversial role, and a lot of people do not necessarily understand or agree with, which is the Slayer role. Personally, I think the Slayer role is probably one of the most important because they are not actually on the objective. A lot of times they got to push beyond the objective, stay on the outskirts of where the objective is, but their role is very important because they got to kill multiple people. They're going to be out of cover, rushing around the map, keeping people away from the specific objective. The Slayer almost serves as a portable UAV, and the reason I say that is because when they get in these engagements, if they're winning them, all good, they can tell you specifically where the enemy is spawning. But if they don't win their gunfight, what's inevitably going to happen is you're going to get directional information of where the enemy is coming from. Because obviously if the Slayer died in a specific location, their death toll comes up, there is active communication. You can say they killed me from here. All of you guys are going to be positioned pre-aiming from the objective, knowing specifically that the person's going to be coming through the specific location. You could shut them down so easy. They're going to have to run from out of cover in your line of sight. They're going to have to do an incredible job to take you off a specific head clip. And the Slayer's role doesn't even end there. They're responsible for also helping to make that push to recapture a hard point if the enemy holds it. So a lot of times that is a very crucial role. They're expected to be able to push, take out multiple enemies, and just basically be the player with the best gun skill. A lot of times you're going to say, well, they're just kill whoring or whatever the case is. Well, they should be kill whoring. They're the best player on the map. Do you want that guy on your team that goes 3-27 to be the Slayer so you actually get demolished, the enemy team streaks up, and it's almost inevitable that you're going to lose every single match? Or would you rather the player with the best gun skill fight for these streaks, control the map, and make it very easy for that 3-27 player to just sit on the objective, get that hill time, and inevitably lead to easy wins? Although that is the role of a Slayer, there are plenty of people that would consider themselves Slayers and actually helping their team just because they have a bunch of kills. But at the end of the day, that's not the full story. You know kind of where people are positioned at on your team. If you notice this guy has tons of kills, but you never see him anywhere near the objective, he is probably not a Slayer. He's probably just a kill whore. At the end of the day, that's not the teammate you want. And sometimes it's very hard to tell the difference because it's such a thin line between kill whore and Slayer that a lot of times people just get them mixed up. So go ahead and let me know down in the comment section below, which role do you relate to the most and why? Also, if you've enjoyed the video in any way, please remember to hit that like button. And if you're brand new to the channel, I typically cover Call of Duty news, in-game updates, best class setups, subscriber breakdowns, as well as other tip and trick videos on how to improve at Call of Duty. If any of that seems interesting to you, make sure you subscribe and turn those notifications on. And at this point in the video, I'm going to transition to a gameplay breakdown, talking a little bit about what's specifically happening in the moment in this particular map. And as you can see, the hardpoint just rotated to hardpoint number 4. And from this position, you can see that right here, I'm pretty much the objective player, kind of watching out, seeing if anyone's going to come up. We do have a UAV in the air. I do have a couple teammates to my right, a little bit to the left. You can see that guy just died right now. That's more of the buffer. Now we know that there's a couple players coming from that direction, and you can see how the second one of my teammates jumps on the objective, I pushed a little bit outside of it so I could be that buffer for that player. And that's what continually happens in the process. People change roles. I go ahead and push out a little bit, try to slay, but right now I'm back on the objective. And that's what'll often happen. You want to make sure that you got solid control of the objective. It doesn't ever really get closely contested at any point. See that the person's coming up this left side, pre-aiming, take them out. I'm in a position that I know where they're coming from. They're running straight into me, and that makes it incredibly easy for me to get my streak. I use my Hellstorm, and this is pretty much going to reset the enemy spawns. I pretty much killed them all in spawn. They were on this left side. Now they spawned out all the way across map. So we just influenced the spawns in a huge way by using that Hellstorm and shutting down that area. Once I came out of the Hellstorm, we killed that one enemy. And now pretty much all the enemies are coming from one direction. Keep in mind that I'm also positioned furthest back on my team, and that's ideally so the spawns do not flip. If they do happen to flip and the enemies are spawning directly behind me, I will serve as that buffer. Now we're pushing aggressively because there was a lot going on. And you can see on the minimap that the second I jump down, there's someone that spawned in that back area. This is definitely not the best scenario, but we are in a position that we are actually able to cover different areas. We got the little sentry gun there, covering multiple sides, somebody covering the back end. You can see I go a peek back there. We do have someone with the riot shield, and pretty much since we can actually win the match from this particular hard point, that's why there's such an aggressive hold right here with so many people. You can see right there, the absolute shutout, 500-0. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Like I said, if you did, hit that like button and subscribe for future content. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.